G'day guys, I'm Matt Brand and this is the 2020 Skoda Kodiaq RS. The Kodiaq has been in Australia for a few years now, but this RS version was only released in around April. You see, Skoda Australia was pretty desperate to get their hands on the RS because it was the fastest 7-seater SUV around the Nurburgring, and Australians love their performance SUVs. And bringing the Skoda Kodiaq RS to Australia was a great idea. Or was it? Got you there. Today we're gonna find out. Now, as always, we're gonna start by taking a look at the exterior of the Skoda Kodiaq RS. Then we're gonna move on to the interior, and of course, we're gonna see how it drives. And finally, we're gonna end on should you buy one. And if you are new around here, please do go down there and hit the subscribe button. Hit that notification bell as well. I release an awesome new car review every single week, so you can see as soon as they are uploaded. And of course, if you do enjoy the video, go down there and hit the thumbs up button. It really helps the channel, the video, everything out, helps it out. Enough with the formalities, let's get straight into it. Now, starting with the front is modern and tasteful, but more importantly, it is sporty. For example, the grille being blacked out on the RS version looks great, and it contrasts so well with this race blue paint, which is the hero color of the Kodiaq RS, and I cannot recommend it enough. Flanking the grille are the headlights, which are beautiful and very functional. I personally think it's beautiful because of the LED lines that are kind of running through the headlights. It gives it a very sporty vibe. Apologies for the vibe, I'm a millennial, I can't help it. They're not just beautiful though, they really are very practical. You see, the lights are adaptive, and they will blank out part of their beam when there is oncoming traffic, so you can maintain peak brightness while not dazzling other drivers. They also swivel, so the headlights will physically move when you, for instance, are turning a corner. And I'm not talking about just cornering lights, I mean they will actually move. Below the headlights are the fog lights, which again are very practical, they're very bright, and they do act as cornering lights. So when you turn a corner, they will brighten up and you can see more. It's a really smart and tasteful feature. And to top off the design at the front, you do get a very tasteful blacked out lip spoiler, which is not huge, but it's a nice touch. Moving on to the side, and this has to be one of my favorite side profiles of pretty much any SUV out there. A couple of big reasons why. Number one, again, is this race blue paint job. I love it. It just pops in the sunlight. And then there are the massive 20-inch extreme wheels, which I don't like the name of, but they do look great. And of course, within them, like any good sport SUV, they have red painted generic brakes. You have more blacked out pieces of trim across the side, including the window frame and the black roof rails on top. And like any good Skoda out there, you have lots of sharp edges and creases that you could cut your hand on, but it does help to break up what would otherwise be a very boxy design. The rear is probably my least favorite part of the Skoda's design because it really does remind you that this is, at the end of the day, a big old SUV. However, unique to the RS are blacked out badges. Also, the Skoda badge has been ripped off and instead you get a literal spelling out of Skoda. The rear tail lights in general are nothing too special like Skoda, too special. They are nice and bright LEDs, I'll give them that. And on the side, there is this cool spindle effect that kind of changes depending on the way that light hits it. It's a nice touch. Also unique to the RS, weirdly, is a giant reflection bar. It really is odd design. I don't know why it's unique to the RS. It's nothing particularly beautiful. In fact, looks a little cheap, and it wraps around the entire rear and then onto the side, kind of like the Kia Stinger GT that I reviewed. I don't know, it's odd. What's even more odd though are the exhaust situation. You see, there's dual exhaust tips. One side is completely fake, the other has real dual exhaust tips within the fake exhaust tip. Gets a little bit confusing, which in itself is a little odd because this is a diesel car. Usually not much money or thought is spent on diesel cars because they don't sound great. However, this exhaust has an active valve within it, which opens up depending on the mode you're in the car. Even more exciting though is the infamous dynamic sound boost system. You might be wondering, well, what is that? Well, on the outside of the car, there is a fake speaker which puts out diesel-like noises. Like literally there is a speaker on the outside of the car that plays fake engine noises. Not only that, of course, in the interior, you also get fake engine sounds. And here's a short compilation of what the exhaust sounds like in sport mode. It's just so odd. Overall, and I'll be honest with you, I've never seen Skoda to be a particularly beautiful brand. It's always given me a very practical looking vibe. Again, sorry for the vibe. But having been around this Kodiaq RS, I completely changed my mind. I love the way that this thing looks. Sure, it's not all perfect. It's not the most beautiful car on the roads, but it's up there. But what do you guys think looks better? This or this? Skoda Kodiaq RS or the Volkswagen Tiguan All-Space? It's not a truly fair comparison because the Tiguan All-Space doesn't have a sporty model like the RS, but go down there anyway and cast your votes. I've left a voting poll in the comments section below. Now let's move on to the interior, but before we do, we're gonna give it a bit of sauce. Pretty good. I want to start with the overall look, layout, and feel. The interior is a true mixture of thoughtful layout and sportiness. Materials everywhere are generally really good. Lots of hard-ish but soft plastics. Then you get nice touches like Alcantara on the doors, which really lifts up the interior. There are also fake carbon bits dotted around the interior, and it's not the most convincing fake carbon you'll ever see, but it's a nice touch. And like all good modern SUVs, there is interior lighting. It's not very much, but it is tasteful, and I've personally chosen to go for green. The interior is certainly not the pinnacle of automotive design, but it's thoughtful and everything is well laid out. Then there is the ergonomics and practicality. The steering wheel is tilting and telescoping, and the seat is very easy to get into a comfortable position, especially being completely automatic. My one complaint is that you do sit quite high, but that's not unexpected, it's an SUV. But it's practicality that the Kodiaq does best. There are plenty of storage spaces all throughout the cabin. The passenger gets a dual glove box. There are huge door bins with felt within it to stop things from sliding around. And then there are just very thoughtful touches that pretty much no other manufacturer is going ahead with. For example, within the door bins is an actual door bin to chuck out your rubbish. There are umbrellas in the doors. When you open the door, a little door protector automatically pops out, and that's for both the front doors and the rear doors. There are other nice touches too, like the center armrest is ratcheting and you can slide it forward and back. It's little touches like these that really impress me. The attention to detail and the way that they want to make this car as practical as possible has not gone unnoticed. Well done, Skoda. Skoda. Up front, of course, you do have two cup holders, and even these have thoughtful touches because they have little rubberized base, and that means that things don't slide around. Drinks stay put. You also get a USB port up front, a 12-volt socket, and a wireless charging pad. Then there are these seats, and I was a little bit worried getting into them because I thought that they would be quite uncomfortable. However, this is not at all the case. They are just the right amount of body hugging to really hold you in place when you turn a corner a bit enthusiastically. They're also made out of very nice materials. I'm talking about Alcantara, leather, and there is a little bit of fakery going on with these weird carbon fiber effect things. It's a little bit tacky, but it actually is a nice touch. Over longer journeys, they are very, very comfortable. The front seats are also heated, but they're not cool. And as I said earlier, they're very adjustable and with 4-way movable lumbar support. You are well supported in these seats, and they look great. Moving on now, and for all my long-term subscribers out there, you know how much I care about my steering wheels, and this steering wheel is great. Just like you would expect from a sporty Skoda, you get a very sporty steering wheel. It's made out of nice premium leather. It feels great in the hands, although it does have the consistency of a golf ball. It is very functional as well. On the left, you have your media controls. On the right, you have your digital display controls. Although I will say it does feel a little bit like it's come out of a Volkswagen parts bin because it is an older Volkswagen design. And I say that because the cruise controls are on the steering wheel column and not the steering wheel itself. And so you get this silly little stalk that's a bit of a faff to use. In the Volkswagen T-Cross that I reviewed, and like most new Volkswagens now coming out, it does have it on the steering wheel, and that's a really big convenience feature that this is missing out on. You get used to it, but I hate the positioning there. Rant over though, and otherwise it is a nice steering wheel. I like you get the little RS badge down the bottom, and the red stitching does help to kind of finish off the sporty interior. Moving on though, and Skoda Australia has gifted us with this 12.3-inch digital display cluster. Virtual cockpit they call it, and it is fantastic. There are 5 different layouts that you can play around with. You get great features like a full screen map that you can put right in front of you. It's super bright and ultra color accurate. It is a little bit laggy to switch between screens and functions, although it does get better as you drive the car. It's kind of like a computer in the way that it starts up. But overall, I absolutely love it. There's also a 9.2-inch infotainment display, which just like the digital instrument clusters is bright and color accurate. It's also extremely functional. You get navigation, digital radio, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's plenty of menus and it still manages to be easy to use. But again, just like the digital instruments, it is a little bit laggy. But I won't complain too much because it's still a great offering. Although what is also annoying is there are no physical buttons. They're all touch capacitive buttons, which not only leave greasy fingerprints, but they're also a bit of a faff to use when you're driving. Again, minor complaint. And then we have the air conditioning controls. Now, as functional as they are, they're not the greatest out there. And the reason I bring it up is because they're quite small and it's hard to use when you're on the go. It's a minor complaint. Overall, they're pretty good, but it's just, they're a little small. Excuse me here for a moment. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, leaves a smile on your face, I'll tell you what. Moving on to the rear seats now, and it's the exact same situation up front with these seats, being partial leather and Alcantara. It's a really cool place to be. Functionality is also just as good as the front. You can slide the rear seats, you can put them backwards if you like, and there is plenty of legroom and plenty of headroom. There's also a separate climate control zone back there so you can set your own temperature. The seats are heated, and you get your standard center armrest and the 12-volt socket back there. It would have been better if there was like a USB port too, but c'est la vie. And one of the Skoda Kodiaq's key selling points is that there is a third row. Now, I'm not really sure what other reviewers are on when they say they can fit an adult back there. It's not the easiest. For me, I don't really fit even when I slide the seat all the way forward. And when I do, there isn't much leg room and the headroom's fine, but I could not see myself sitting there for more than, I don't know, 20 seconds. It's really not that much. It's fine for kids, but for fully grown adults, not so much. And that leads us on to boot space. With the third row up, there is a pretty respectable 270 litres of boot space. With the third row seats down, there is 630 litres. And then if you put both the second and third rows down, you get 2005 litres of boot space. In my eyes, that's plenty. Did I mention the Skoda Kodiaq was a very practical car? I think we've spoken enough about the interior. How does the Skoda Kodiaq drive? Pretty well. Up front is a 2-litre 4-cylinder bi-turbo diesel engine that pumps out a pretty respectable 176 kilowatt of power and a very respectable 500 newton meters of torque. All of that power is sent through the very common Volkswagen Group 7-speed dual clutch transmission, which in general is a very smooth transmission, although on takeoff from a stop, it is very jerky because of the stop-start system and the dual clutch transmission not working very well together. I personally turned this off, and if you want to see more about this, go watch my Volkswagen Polo review, which had it the worst. Now, through that 7-speed dual clutch transmission, it's sent through to all wheels, being an all-wheel drive car. And so generally speaking, there is loads of grit. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 0 to 62 miles per hour for you stuck using freedom units is a respectable 7 seconds flat. And by that metric, you should be able to tell that this is no true sports car, but it's genuinely a sporty car because it is a diesel and has so much torque. When you're going at slower speeds, lower in the rev range, it does feel like a very quick car. So you can get some pretty fast takeoffs. But the issue is that being a diesel, when you do start to get to higher speeds, around 80 kilometers an hour plus, it just doesn't feel very responsive. And you are reminded that you are in a diesel car at the end of the day. Diesel or not, it's still a ball of fun. And I'm having a great time driving it around. And I especially love doing my launch controls. Oh man, what a car. Now it does have a plethora of driving modes between eco, comfort, normal, sport, individual, and snow. And on top of that, an off-road mode. Putting the car into comfort mode, you lose all of the dynamic sound, and it is a comfortable journey. Suspension is very soft thanks to these adaptive dampers that you get on the Skoda Kodiaq RS. And around town, it's such a comfortable drive. Put the car into sport mode though, and everything stiffens up, though not to the point of being uncomfortable. And sport mode really does help to make the car very planted and reduces body roll so much. So turning a corner is very competent in the Skoda. In terms of handling, it's also very competent and refined. I swear this car begs you to floor it. It does get a little bit stiffer when you do put it into sport mode, though it's nothing unbearable. In comfort mode, it is very light and easy to live with, and it's progressive steering as well, meaning the more you turn the steering wheel, the more the car will turn its wheels. What's also great about getting a Skoda Kodiaq RS is the fuel economy. Of course, it's a diesel, so it gets great fuel economy. Now, it's not the most fuel efficient diesel unit out there. Generally speaking, you can expect to get a real world fuel economy of around about 8 if you're doing a mixture of highway and urban driving. Right now, I'm averaging 10.5 liters from this drive, but that's only because I've been flooring the car and I've launch controlled it like 3 or 4 times. My average is around 9 liters per 100 kilometers. And that's again with pretty aggressive driving. So it's great. Overall, the way that the Skoda Kodiaq RS drives is really, really good. No, it's not going to be a Golf GTI in terms of stupid fun, but it gets pretty close. The real question though is it worth it, and should you buy one? The Skoda Kodiaq RS is the kind of car that just comes with everything you want and everything you need, but it doesn't necessarily outdo its competition in any one area. It's very much a jack of all trades. Drive away, the Skoda Kodiaq RS starts at 71,990 Australian dollars drive away. This model here, as spec'd with the race blue paint, well, that's $72,760 drive away. Now, if you're looking for the best value 7-seater SUV out there, the Skoda Kodiaq RS is not the car for you. On that point, if you do want to see a great value 7-seater SUV, then go watch my Mitsubishi Pajero Sport review. However, being a sporty 7-seat SUV out there, this may well be the best value one you can get, purely because of just how practical the car is, everything it comes with, especially in the technology sense, and of course the performance. So if you are in the market for a Skoda Kodiaq RS, I cannot recommend it enough. So if you guys did enjoy this video, please do go down there and hit the thumbs up button. It really, really helps the channel out. Subscribe if you are new. I release an awesome new car review every single week, and hit that notification bell too. And let me know in the comment section below, what do you think of the Skoda Kodiaq RS? Is it let down by this 2-liter diesel engine, or is that what makes it so great? Comment down below now. But anyway, guys, thank you very, very much for watching, and I will see you next week.